Just in case you haven't finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, there will be massive spoilers in this video, but if you have finished, stick around and enjoy the show.
Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
Kitase stated, "We're not drastically changing the story and making it into something completely different than the original. Even though it's a remake, please assume the story of FF7 will continue as FF7 always has from here on out." Psych. What's up everyone, Soldier First Class here. In today's mission, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I said Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah. Come on now, you're just being silly. Ah, there we go. Once again, we are back with some major Final Fantasy VII Remake information, and this time it confirms there are multiple timelines, universes, or whatever floats your boat. Oh, and that character that's alive that contained great mystery that everyone said was Biggs? It's definitely Zack. Also, we'll be covering a few pieces of interviews from the developers that were translated that give some conflicting reports about what's going on behind the scenes. Itai Kimochi is back with some more translations and is also joined by Miss Cyfox and Gude from Twitter. Sai and Gude have been helping me behind the scenes, and they definitely deserve a lot of their credit for their hard work. Sai was originally providing the scans for these translations. This time, we have confirmation that Zack is alive, and there's like 2 Sephiroths running around causing trouble, and after reading these translations, something I've been theorizing for a while now has come true. And that is that Final Fantasy VII Remake is actually the 5th installment in the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. In an interview around January, Nomura revealed that he had this project in mind for a long time and that he wanted to make it the next installment in the compilation. You know, the one with Crisis Core, Advent Children, and that 10 out of 10 Dirge of Cerberus? The Ultimania translations have now confirmed this. So what does this mean? Trick question? No one knows. Well, no one but Tetsuya Nomura, Motomu Toriyama, and Kazushige Nojima. We're talking some level 100 stuff right here. So let's take a look at these translations, but for now let's start off with Zack Fair. It reads, "What is the meaning of Zack's victory? Shinra was on the chase for Zack, and as they surrounded him at the outskirts of Midgar, he was shot multiple times. This is Zack's last stand that was written in the original Final Fantasy VII as well as the prequel game Crisis Core. However, in the remake, Zack defeats the Shinra cadets and lives on, which leads to an unforeseen development.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people."
The ending also shows Zack holding an unconscious Cloud as they pass by Cloud and Aerith, who have just escaped from Midgar. In order to make sure 2 Clouds do not recognize each other's existence, it is assumed that they should not exist in the same time and space, but aside from that, the rest is unknown. When Zack is victorious in this scene, a picture of the dog Stamp also flies into view, but this version of Stamp contradicts the previous design seen in the game. What could this possibly mean? There's then a picture and it states, "The Buster Sword that Cloud uses belonged to Zack, but in the scene, they both have the same sword. If Zack is alive, then Cloud shouldn't have this sword, but..." and then it ends with a question mark. For those that still doubt that this confirms Zack is alive and well, we have another piece of evidence that is directly from Tetsuya Nomura himself. The question was, in the ending of the remake, Zack is alive, which leads to a contrasting development to the original story. What is the meaning of that scene? Nomura replied, "That's the biggest highlight of the mysteries that have been set up in this scene, isn't it?" Nojima also adds to that, and you can also clearly see the dog Stamp too. The person says, "Stamp looks different in the scene though," to which Nojima replied, "Oh, does he now?"
Oh shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper. There's no Pepe Silvia, you gotta be kidding me! I got boxes full of Pepe!
So Zack's alive in an alternate timeline somehow. There's 2 Clouds, 2 Buster Swords, and as we're about to get into, 2 different Sephiroths seen in the game. Now let's look at Gude's translations, as they've provided insight into Sephiroth's appearances and confirms that there are 2 different Sephiroths in the game. They provide a chart with the different appearance types, and there's some interesting stuff, but I'll be brief about it. Basically, Sephiroth appears in illusion form as the black cloaked clones and in Cloud's memories. This is the first Sephiroth, which we can basically look at as the original timeline Sephiroth. The second Sephiroth is highlighted in red with a question mark. He's the one who we see at the Broken Highway, who opens the portal to the Whispers, the one we fight, and the one in the Edge of Creation. What's odd about second Sephiroth is that in Japanese, he uses the personal indicator Ore, which is how he talked before his meeting with Genova and his descent into madness. This is the more humanized version of Sephiroth. After he met Genova and went insane, he uses the personal indicator Watashi. So this Sephiroth is talking more like the pre-Nibelheim reactor incident Sephiroth than the post-Nibelheim reactor incident one. Gude theorizes that the first Sephiroth is the original timeline Sephiroth who is carrying out what he's supposed to according to the game's events, the reunion, killing the president, etc. But he can't figure out what the goal of this second Sephiroth is because the book doesn't provide that information. This second Sephiroth is separate and has his own goals in mind and talks as if he's still human or good. good. Gode said it's possible that the second Sephiroth is seen in other parts of the game, but he's most notably seen at the end. Needless to say, after reading all of this, I'm not really sure how Kitase can say that this doesn't drastically alter the original game's events or make this remake project vastly different. Kitase's like, hey, don't worry, this is Final Fantasy VII, nothing to see here, folks. And Nomura's like,
I can't stop! Help! There's a cliff!
Now let's get into the interview segment of the video. The Ultimania confirms that Final Fantasy VII Remake is a sequel and not a remake, and that this is the 5th installment into the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. The question asked, when did Final Fantasy VII Remake project start? Kitase stated, actually, this project has been in existence for a very long time. Nomura then states, when we developed the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, the installments included Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and Dirge of Cerberus, so we knew that we wanted to make a 5th installment. However, we were a bit short on resources as I was the only one heading the project, and since we were busy with other things, the project was put on hold. Next up, we have Nomura being asked about the remake having two meanings. He stated, I am the one who decided on the title remake, but there are two meanings to the title. In summary, he basically goes on to say that he didn't want people to think of it was a movie or a remaster, so he put remake purposely in the title to make it stick out that this was a remake. He then states, in regards to the other meaning of the word remake, well, I can't answer that right now. Ask me again in a couple of years. Next we have them discussing the writing of the story, and this also seems to be slightly conflicting. On one hand, you have Nomura stating that he wrote all of the scenarios back when they were with CyberConnect 2, and then stating that Toriyama took all of those scenarios and rewrote them. Then Nomura states that after Toriyama was done, he looked it over for himself and said that's the direction they wanted to go. However, when Nojima talks about it, he was asked, in what degree do you write the scenarios and how specific do you make them? He states, I lose myself in my writing a lot. I'm always concerned about keeping characters in character, so I constantly make corrections. However, after I finish writing the scenarios, Toriyama and his scenario team add revisions, which is then handed off to the dubbing stage, which also makes adjustments to the dialogue. So by the time the scenario reaches completion, I'm not even sure exactly what remains from my initial draft. Kitase then states, of course, the main story's developments are usually left as how Nojima wrote them. The changes that are made are usually minor details that are formulated into the story. I'm beginning to think that these guys don't even talk to each other during development. You've got Nomura claiming he's pretty much written the whole thing, passed it off to Toriyama, who rewrote everything, and now Nojima and Kitase are saying that Nojima wrote the story. But Nojima admits that he's not even sure how much of what he wrote actually makes it to the final product. They're constantly contradicting each other through these interviews, and I'm still not sure what's going on. Overall, we've got confirmed timelines, multiple Sephiroths, Zack's alive, and
Every time I drive down the road, I want to jerk the wheel into a goddamn bridge embankment.
overall, I had a lot of fun making this video, and no, none of this information is made up. This is all 100% real. So I'll leave it up to you, soldiers. How do you feel about this information and the future of the Final Fantasy VII Remake project? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to omni-slash that like button. Let me know in the comments section below what you think of this new information about Final Fantasy VII Remake, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell to join the ranks of Soldier today. And for all the latest Final Fantasy VII Remake news, rumors, and trailers, I'm Soldier First Class, and I'm on to the next mission. Later, guys.